So today, we're going to try and unlock some of the secrets behind one of history's most fascinating and enduring societies, the Freemasons. And what holds them together isn't just secret handshakes, it's something way more powerful, a set of unwritten laws.
I mean, think about it for a second. How does an organization this old, this widespread, manage to keep its identity intact across continents and centuries without just falling apart? Well, the answer, as it turns out, lies in a set of rules that aren't even written down.
Our guide on this little journey is a guy who actually tried to write it all down for us. We're diving into a text from 1872 by Albert G. Mackey. It's called A Textbook of Masonic Jurisprudence, and in it, he lays out both the written and, more importantly, the unwritten laws of Freemasonry.
To really get a handle on the Masons, you first have to understand a pretty basic idea. Any society, whether it's secret or not, absolutely needs rules to survive. It needs some kind of system to govern itself.
And this is Mackey's whole point. He argues that Freemasonry isn't just some club, it's more like a nation in miniature. It's got its own complex legal system, what he calls a unique jurisprudence, that spells out how its members should act and how the whole institution is supposed to work.
So what Mackey was doing was essentially creating a legal textbook for this hidden world. He was trying to bring some clarity to a system that was built on both really explicit rules and these ancient unwritten traditions.
And check this out. This page, right from his book, kind of sets the stage for us. See the title? The Foundations of Masonic Law. Mackey is telling us straight up, if you want to understand this organization, you have to start with its legal bedrock.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Mackey splits Masonic law into two distinct types, a lot like the legal system of a country. On one hand, you have the written law. These are the official statutes and regulations passed by Masonic Grand Lodges. But then you have the unwritten law, and these are the ancient customs, the old ways of doing things, passed down through time.
And this is the real kicker. For Mackey, the true source of Freemasonry's strength, the thing that gives it its stability, isn't found in the rule books that they update every few years. Nope. It's in the laws that have never been written down at all.
So what is this incredibly powerful unwritten law? Well, Mackey gives it a very specific name, a term that really gets to the very heart of what it means to be a Mason.
He calls them the landmarks. You can think of them as the absolute foundational pillars of the entire institution. They're ancient, they're supposed to be universal across all of Masonry, and, this is the most important part, they are unwritten customs, not something a committee voted on.
And listen to this quote from the book. It's just fantastic. It really captures how old these things are. The landmarks have been around for so long that there's no record of where they even came from. They've existed from a time whereof the memory of man runneth not to the contrary.
Okay, so this incredible age is what gives the landmarks their most defining and honestly their most mind-blowing characteristic. They are absolutely permanent.
And Mackey could not be more clear about this. Unlike written laws, right, which can be debated and amended and thrown out, the landmarks are set in stone. As he says, they can suffer no change. What they were centuries ago, they still remain.
That's right, completely and totally unrepealable. Think about that for a second. No Masonic authority, no matter how high-ranking, supposedly has the right to change or get rid of a landmark. It's a law that's permanent, even though it isn't written down anywhere.
So you have to ask, why? Why have these super rigid, unchangeable rules? Well, according to Mackey, their whole purpose is to act as bulwarks against innovation. They're like the ultimate defense mechanism, making sure that while Masonry might change on the surface, its core identity, its very soul, stays exactly the same to the ages.
Okay, I know this is all sounding a little bit abstract, so let's make it real. Let's look at some actual examples, specifically how these landmarks define the power of the top dog in the organization, the Grand Master.
So after a lot of digging, Mackey didn't just talk about these laws in general. He actually came up with what he believed was the complete list, and the number he landed on was exactly 25.
And what's so fascinating is that a whole chunk of these 25 landmarks aren't about secret symbols or rituals you might expect. No, they are about raw, institutional power. They spell out the very specific and unchallengeable powers of the Grand Master. And this list just shows you what that means in the real world. The Grand Master's right to just show up at any Masonic meeting and take charge, or his ability to waive the normal waiting period for a new guy, or to create new lodges all by himself, or even to make a man a Mason at sight, just like that, without the usual process. Get this, none of those powers come from a modern rulebook. They are landmarks. They are ancient rights that come with the job.
You know, Mackey saw a real wisdom in sticking to these old ways. He even quotes the philosopher Montesquieu to back himself up, saying that going back to the ancient maxims is a way of holding on to virtue. For the Masons, the landmarks are that direct line to a virtuous past.
So when you get right down to it, maybe the real secret to the Freemason survival is their embrace of permanence. And that leaves all of us with a really fascinating question to chew on. In our world, a world that is completely obsessed with constant change, what is the power of an unchangeable rule?